That dude was like super motivated. Weird. Alright, we need to find Agent Brando. Now, the event was helpful to us because we're going to get one of those green bars here, where we got to do a certain number of events and participate in different things and gradually work up that bar. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to like stream or record us doing that because it's like one of my least favorite MMO-isms. And I totally understand the necessity for it. Like, I get it. It's useful for keeping maps active. It creates a time, like it makes it drags the story out, which is necessary because so many people, try to blow through a story and in a very quick period of time. For example, this last patch, What Lies Beneath. Like, I did the meta event and everything, and I got it done in like an hour and a half. Like, that's not what you want, so you tend to insert like these things, right? Is what ArenaNet tends to do. Now, with What Lies Beneath, they did several of these, and it still took an hour and a half to include the meta. That's unfortunate, but again, we'll get to that much further down the road on our playthrough. Halfway there? For Machine 1 of 2? Let's go find Brandon. Sorry, buddy. You're on your own.
Fight what cannot be fought.
Alright, Brandon, what's up, man? Things in Diessa and Wayfarer are dire, to say the least. I agree, they're dire. What's up? My partner is undercover as a Flame Legion grunt. She's planting encrypted dead drops around Wayfarer foothills and Diessa Plateau. Alright. Let's go get the dead drops. Sure, man. Sure. Commander, there are 6 dead drop locations in Diessa Plateau and 6 in Wayfarer foothills. Huh. So I'm pretty sure that's an achievement, not necessary to advance the story. But let's find out. Let's go get some dead drops.
These supplies are for Nodling and nobody else.
Fine. Have it your way. Kill them all.
Nah, we'll keep going this one. Oh, you know what? We should totally... you know what? This is going to kind of be annoying to try and find all these. Gross. Sky scale will help. Speaking of annoying, there aren't very many hearts more annoying than this one right here. This whole bug catching thing. Awful. Awful. And I like hearts. I am not one of the folks who's like hearts are a terrible thing. They shouldn't be in the game. Like ArenaNet did a horrible thing with hearts. So hearts were one of the last things they added to core game, and that's because they realized that like the dynamic events and stuff just weren't actually adequate to like make the game couldn't be like the events alone were not enough to keep people engaged. The world did not feel dynamic and exciting. There we go. With just events. So then they added hearts, and it kept people occupied and like allowed them to do things, and that's really good. I like hearts, but some hearts are just really bad. There's a handful of them. The Ash Legion Stealth Heart is like notoriously painful. The bug catching one is really bad, and there are a handful of others that just don't feel good. Is he still going? Oh, no, he's on the other one now. Alright, good for him. Alright, let's look around for this dead drop. I legit don't remember where any of these are. Ah, look at that. We still got gold credit for that event. We left it less than halfway through, got gold credit. Wait a minute. What's that over there? So if you read these dead drops, they are like, particularly if you're not like super deep in the lore of the game, they will help flesh out the lore a little bit. And very much like do, what's the dirt covered object? I have no idea what that is. It's a refugee's logbook. Cool. Probably an achievement associated with that. Like it will kind of flesh out the lore for you, and that's great. By just blowing through them, I don't think I'm missing anything that's like super critical. Basically, it's like the Flame Legion and the Dredge are kind of like, it's like a weird match, and they're having trouble getting along. There's some tension within their little like alliance, you know, which is designed, I think, to kind of prompt the player to say, yeah, from like a Guild Wars 2 perspective, that makes sense. What in the world might have, you know, inspired such an alliance in the first place? That's really kind of one of the important takeaways of early season 1 here, is like the question of what is driving this collaboration. And it is kind of a weird thing. So even when it, you know, when it first came out, when this was brand new content, it was like a valid question. People were like, "Well, this is really weird, man. Like the Dredge and the Flame Legion. Like, I don't fully understand what's going on there." They're building something massive in the heart of the mine. Cute. I love building massive things in the hearts of mines. It's like a hobby of mine. It's a shame I don't have the location for all these memorized. Oh no. So it could be that it's not here. It might actually be like up over here. Can we fly that way? They're not going to allow us to? That actually kind of sucks. Oh, it's not going to. Man. Talk about unnecessary invisible walls.
A swing one, a swing two, a swing three, a swing one, a swing two.
So if you really want to go like way into like the, you know, the world building and stuff for Tyria, the like the Soviet thing. I mean that it's just, that's what the Dredge are. They are just straight up meant to be like Soviet, not communist, not socialist, just plain Soviet. Yeah. Troop movements. Cool. Alright. Yeah, I don't care that much about the troop movements. Alright, let's keep moving. More invisible walls. Good. The really weird thing about that is like it takes like massive amounts of this circle and like eliminates them, presumably. But it makes it really inconvenient to look as well. Are there invisible walls up this side too? I think there are. You would think so based on the ones we've already encountered. Oh, here we go, way up on the top. I knew it. I knew it was going to interrupt me. New prisoners every day, and weapons testing. Cool. So these dead drops are also advancing our bar. So we're actually super close to like the bar being done. Oh, and there's the last one. Tensions high in the barracks. All right, so we're actually like one meta, but we might as well just see if we can find, or not meta event, but one event away from. And actually, it doesn't even necessarily need to be an event. Helping these refugees out might actually might put us over the top. As you see, aiding refugees. Ooh, we don't get a lot of credit for getting. Seriously, like, dude is like jacked up, like just laying there, and we don't. We barely get anything for that on our bar. But if we go over to Meattoberfest and hand out beers, then we get like a whole chunk off our bar. Not sure how I feel about all that. I'm not going to get involved in worm racing. That's ridiculous. Alright, bam. What's up, Brandon? Good, good. Alright, yep. Duly noted. Wayfarer Foothills as well. Has the same thing going on. Having said that...
Just one more confirmation of how great I am.
Alright. So, last thing for today. We are ready to go try to rescue the people who have been kidnapped by the Molten Alliance. Mail carrier pigeons got here pretty late. I don't already read the mail. And see what we can do to help them out. And looks like Bram's gonna be there. Looks like Rox is gonna be there. Very exciting. And this is, of course, content that was made available after Season 1. They're like, hey, you know, the first time that they acknowledged that the Season 1 thing didn't work out, and again, I love the model. I hope one day another studio tries it. But it did not work with Guild Wars 2. And the first time that the studio acknowledged that, one of the things they did is to give us some of the content in Fractals. So this Molten Alliance facility that we are about to go to, we have seen before because we've done the Fractal a number of times in 0 to 0. And actually, if I remember right, this instance does not look a whole lot different than the Fractal. Let's see here. What's up, Uma Thresh Growl? That's what that is very different than Rocks, right? Like rocks, like you straight up want to like go to the grocery store and get like the good cat food that's like super expensive and it's in a little tuna can and it's like organic. This thing's not allowed in the house. Like this thing, this is an outside cat, right? Uma Thresh Growl. All right, Uma. The Order's infiltrator got us keys to the drill, and we're gonna take it straight into Molten Alliance Central. Cool. Who else going? Vigil operatives. And a young male Norn and a female Char. I don't know any young male Norns. See, so this is, again, to come back to, like, I mentioned this earlier, it weirds me out. It weirds me out to a tremendous degree. All of our, like, little peeps are, like, at various times described as young. And in some cases described as, like, juvenile. Children. What was happening at ArenaNet when they all sat down around their little conference table and said, let's think of video game things. Hey, you know what would be great if we like conducted like a war for like the future of the world with a bunch of children. Super traumatizing. Make it so traumatizing that the player character constantly talks about their PTSD. And we'll just brush over the fact that the player character brought a bunch of children with them. That was really good planning on the part of ArenaNet. Burn 3 Strike doesn't talk because he's just a big human and they don't talk. Alright. Here we got a Vigil. Hello, Vigil. Well, that's an unusual outfit for Vigil. What are you doing here? What's going on here? Oh, this must be the operative. Yes, so that's why they have this insider information. That's why they look the way they do. Ooh, we're missing important dialogue. Alright, so what did we miss? Rocks. We should wait for the others. Name's Rocks. You? Bram. Bram, I'm no good at waiting. Not when I have friends in trouble. Dredge took them prisoner. I'm here to get them out. And then we got there in time for Rocks. I get it. Flame Legion took mine. Okay, so here we have the beginning of like the commander's little cobble of weirdos. Is that plural for weirdos? A cobble? Like if you have a flock of seagulls, is a cobble of weirdos. Rocks and Bram have now met. Let's go. Do I want longbow or greatsword? I think we want greatsword. We're good.
The caverns must be beyond this wall.
Why don't we just kabam our way through?
Kabam our way through.
Points for enthusiasm, Cub, but that'll take forever. I know about these machines. Let me work some minor magic. Follow me.
Okay, so I don't really care about that achievement at all. Not why I ran back there to get that. And actually, you know what? These days, like, it almost doesn't even matter. It used to be that this Azurite was actually quite valuable. And when I ran back there to mine that node, that's what was in my head. Now, these days, Azurite, you know, there are a number of sources of Azurite in the game now. So it's far less valuable than it used to be. But, so, Azurite is used to produce items with Sentinels statistics, which is like power, toughness, vitality, right? Except unlike soldiers, which is power, toughness, vitality with power main, Sentinels is like power, toughness, vitality with I think it's vitality main. Yeah, vitality main, right? So it's kind of the ultimate in like survivability gear. Now, nowhere really in Guild Wars 2, like, is that actually a good idea? But it does have the distinction of being that particular stat line. Like, there's only one Sentinels, and that's Sentinels, right?
Okay, don't follow too close.
So when Season 1 was rolled out, when this particular content we're playing right now was rolled out, that was the introduction of Sentinels. That was the introduction of Azurite crystals. And after that, there were not like, I don't even recall. I think for a while there were no faucets of Azurite after that. And then I think when the Fractal was rolled out, Then again, there was now a faucet for Azurite, but it was extremely limited. You know, it was completely bottlenecked by people, you know, by whether or not people got too close to the drill. That's what happens when you get too close to giant drills. You catch fire. I don't know if that's true or not. We can ask folks who like dug the... What is the tunnel between France and the UK? Channel. Is it Channel? The Channel Tunnel? The Channel? I think so. So for the longest time, like Azurite was valuable, not because like Sentinels was like a super desirable stat line, but simply because there was, you know, it was scarcity. Scarcity was driving the value. You only needed like, you know, a small percentage of the player base to even care about Sentinels for it to increase in value, for it to retain value. I did have like... I might still have one warrior with Sentinel's gear that I used to like mess around in World vs. World with. But even in World vs. World, like it doesn't actually make a lot of sense as like if you like as a stat line, because you're just not going to kill anyone if you're like wearing Sentinel's gear, because you're not actually going to do any damage. You can kind of... I remember I got in like a 1v1 once when I was... And it wasn't Sentinels. It was another similar stat line. It was like Trailblazers, I think. You know, super heavy on toughness and vitality. And like the 1v1 lasted for like 3 or 4 minutes, and it was just so annoying because neither one would die. And so then I just like I ran away. And I'm really bad at 1v1, but like when you're wearing like certain stat lines, like you're really hard to kill. But that doesn't necessarily make it good because you're also not going to kill anything. We need to address this. We're not doing nearly enough damage. Well, in the short term... Alright, well that'll help in the short term. That's stupid. That was a big failure on my part. I should be able to get 1 or 2 more Ascended Trinkets probably today when this is done, too. I should have the stuff to do that. Alright. And so we continue. We continue following the drill. Okay, and I think a couple of these are like above us. So if you were going for the achievement, you would have to find your way up here and then come along like back here to this corner. It's been a minute since I've done it. I don't remember the exact route. I don't think it's rocket surgery. Like, I don't think it's like super tricky, but it's not in here. It's like when we get out to the main room. I think the passageway to get up here is actually like up here, if I remember correctly. This one was harder for me to get, if I remember right.
Watch out. We've hit a pocket of... Is that...
Yeah, you go up here for those 2 nodes that were back that way. I think for this one, we have to get through here and then come back through jumping to get like up there somehow. I
Come on,
think.
Frostbite. Let's go.
This is not an achievement guide though. I should make that really clear. Like I am not that guy to be teaching people how to get certain achievements. Not even a little bit. See, there's one of them too. Or maybe yeah, this is where you. So the other one I probably just like outright missed the opportunity, I guess. Anyway, one of those is one that like frustrated me quite a bit. All right.
Uh-oh. The wolf in me is growling.
Mine too. Testing weapons here. Capture prisoners.
Great spirits, I know him.
Not anymore, you don't, Bram. Not anymore.
Wait, intruders! Intruders! Finally, an interrupted audience!
Where are my buddies? Man, they're taking their time, aren't they? Presumably they'll catch up when I come in here. Oh, look at how fast they moved once I actually got around it.
New test subjects have arrived. Their timing is exquisite.
Hey, you'll pay for this.
It teems with outrage, the vermin. As if that would save it. As if. Begin test now! Yeah, getting stuck in here. How about some fresh air?
Oh, boo, didn't make it in time. Didn't make it again.
The guts of the machines are behind those doors. Give it all you got.
Alright, so when I was doing my core story playthrough, I did mention, oh man, I did not, oh, and now safe areas are different. I got a real bad draw there to get us started on that whole fire field thing. That didn't go well. So when doing like the core playthrough, I mentioned that, structures in core do not take any condition damage. You can only use power damage. See, there's supposed to be a little area where you can like nestle in, and I was a long ways away from any of those there for a minute. And I wasn't sure when they introduced the ability for structures to take condition damage, and I still genuinely like I don't remember when that was. I'm pretty sure it was well after season 1, but I wasn't sure when talking about season 1 if they had, you know, when they reintroduced season 1 if they had done it or not. And we can definitely see here that our thermal core is taking condition damage, which I do feel is like, you know, definitely the right decision for them. It's not about whether or not I think the thermal core bleeds, because obviously that's pretty silly. I do like seeing you know, Guild Wars' model for like you know, that the game should be enjoyable in a lot of different ways, like depending on what you want to do. Like I like that a lot, and I think it suits them. I think their design philosophies, you know, like it works. So I would want to see, you know, like I wouldn't want to see a structure not taking condition damage as the reason that people primarily ran power. You know what I mean? Like that would not be. If you're primarily running power, it should be because you've identified that as like the most efficient way to clear the content beyond just killing this core. Like it should be the most efficient way to kill a variety of foes throughout, you know, this instance. Or, you know, I don't think anyone's like making builds just for this story instance, but more realistically for like the fractal that plays, you know, just like this or very similar to this. Like if you're choosing between Condi and power for that fractal, you should be making that choice based on the entirety of the fractal, not just the power core. That's what I'm trying to say.
Feel the fury.
I want results! Fire everything!
Oh, do not fire everything. No. So if I'm not mistaken, we literally reflected that tornado, which is pretty wild. I didn't think you could reflect those things. That's really weird if they're projectiles. But it certainly looked that way.
That was a lot of weaponry.
They sure packed for invasion. Probably going after the Black Citadel.
Or Holbrook. Maybe both. We have to get out of here and warn them.
Well, here's the exit. Let's go.
I was secretly hoping I could fire the weapons. That would have been a nice touch. Now, what we just played through is one fractal, and then the next part would be a different one. When this first was introduced in Season 1, this was not an individual instance. It was not open world either. It was a temporarily available 5-man dungeon. And if you put it like side by side with, you know, like the legacy dungeons, I think it holds up very well. So I don't know. And even at the time, I remember a lot of players being like kind of confused on like why it did not remain, why they pulled it. And you know, the one thing I think, so
We heal as one.
I think the right way to do the living world concept as they originally envisioned it had the world continuing to change, and then fractals being the repository
Time to do some
for the past stuff. So as the world changed,
replenishing.
you could still go back and experience things within fractals, and thus, you know, I don't know, but it even at the time, like, it was weird that they didn't keep it around for longer because it was good content. I understood that, you know, like, this vision of the world constantly changing, like, it had to go, but like, it was good content, right? And maybe that's an argument against that living world system, but you know, the current system's not better. It may be more profitable. It's likely more profitable. Strongly suspect it's not better in the grand scheme of, like, holistically, I don't think it's better because now they're doing exactly what every other studio does, and that's how they're making their money, and that's great. But the fact that Guild Wars 2 was different is what they sacrificed in that exchange. I can't think of a it's aesthetically different. It's different in terms of like gameplay, but in terms of like design philosophy, is there any difference now between Guild Wars 2, World of Warcraft, Elder Scrolls Online, Final Fantasy 14, Black Desert Online? I don't think so. And I did very much like it when there was. That for me was like a cool thing, that there was a difference.
I don't think this is the exit.
No, but look. We found the prisoners. They're forcing them to mine.
We have to get them out. I wouldn't wish mining on my worst enemy.
Me either. Let's go.
Why is mining such a big deal? Like, why is Bram so opposed to mining? That really does it's not a problem. It's not even like bad writing or anything. It just is just like, what is Bram's deal with mining? Like, I'm kind of curious about it. Maybe he had a bad experience, like, with a miner as a child. Like, some guy who worked in the mines, like, stole his lunch money. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Tribune Brimstone sent me to get you out. Report. What have you seen?
Flame Legion, and lots of them, in full-on war mode. They've got Dredge working with them. It's crazy.
Okay, let's get out of here. One of us has to make it back to warn the Citadel.
So what that prisoner said is like, I've mentioned it a couple times. Really is worth noting. The collaboration of Flame Legion and Dredge at the time that this was brand new content was an odd thing. I don't know about crazy, but it was certainly odd. And we see like these Dredge specifically and these Flame Legion specifically were given like you see the skins that this protector is using, like that shield skin and stuff, like that is unique. That is not normal Dredge stuff. The weapons being used by this Axe Fiend, the helmet that's so these were like unique assets that were created, and whether or not these ones were recreated for the reintroduction of season 1 or if they were existing from from when season 1 previously existed, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But it is different from the normal Flame Legion, the normal Dredge, etc. It is a decided difference. So at the time when this first rolled out, like that's the kind of thing you would notice. You would see that these are not the same.
You'll be feeling that one for days. I feel good. Replenishing. Feel the fury.
Oh, hey, buddy, where'd you come from? So I do believe, keeping in mind I'm a pretty poor player of the game, I do believe that the original Season 1 content was also the first time that I really appreciated, like taking down those protectors, right? And what they do, in terms of, providing invulnerabilities. Now, don't get me wrong, like I had played Sorrow's Embrace Dungeon plenty times and stuff like that. But when this, so like Sorrow's Embrace, I had always played with guildmates in the guild that I was in at that point in time. It was not a terrible guild. I do not consider it a good guild. I would not, based on all my experiences to this point, if it was around today, I would discourage people from joining it, but it's not, so it doesn't matter. But I was in the guild at that time, and so when I was running dungeons, generally, honestly, I was mostly, more than anything else, kind of getting carried, and but not like having any sort of like knowledge imparted on me on what I was or was not doing well and where I could improve, and like even like some real fundamentals. I don't know how many dungeons I ran with soldier's armor before somebody helped me understand why Zerker was so much better. And even then, they did it in a very toxic way. It basically told me, hey, you're not allowed to do stuff with us anymore unless you change your gear. And that was the first time anyone had ever talked to me about my gear. And then when this came out, instead of being like the legacy dungeons, which at that time weren't really like legacy, they were just the dungeons, but instead of being the normal dungeons, here was something else. And my first opportunity to do it, instead of running it with a guild, I just ran it with a pug group, because I one of the things about Season 1 in its original iteration, the way it originally presented, is you had to make sure you took your opportunities to complete content, because you did not have like any guarantees that the next opportunity would roll around. Content was only around for a period, a certain period of time, so you had to, get it while the getting was good. So this dungeon I ended up doing with a pug group, and up until that point, I had just kind of assumed that most people in MMOs were pretty toxic, and that's why I primarily played solo, and the guild was just kind of there for content that I couldn't do solo, and then I just had to deal with the toxicity. And it was actually like a pickup group when this was a dungeon who helped me understand like the protectors and the way that really worked, and now it seems like so common sense. It's like, geez, like why couldn't I just see that at the time? And probably I did see it, but did not take into consideration like just how important it is for actually completing the content. So that was also a huge wake-up call for me in terms of like understanding that like just how toxic my guild was. They were really horrible. And I left them, shortly after that. Because I came to the realization, like, man, like, you don't have to play with, like, garbage people. Like, there are so many just garbage human beings in the world. Why would you take your valuable leisure time and spend it with more garbage human beings? Like, that is terrible for your mental health, and it's just not... I mean, unless that's your thing. If you genuinely enjoy, like, toxic human beings, then by all means, like, don't let me stand in your way. But from my perspective, I can't imagine why I would do that in my spare time, which I consider to be valuable. As someone who works a full-time job and a father and everything else, like I ain't just giving away that time. So, Yeah, lessons learned there. Not only about the mechanics of the game, but also about like what the game is and is not. Oh yeah. There you go. I don't know who I did that for, but still cool that they have it there. Like those are the things that make it interesting. And something that I've definitely adhered to ever since, like the importance um,
Admit, I didn't expect this.
of making my leisure time enjoyable. If there's any aspect of the game that creates stress and doesn't alleviate stress, then I'm probably not going to participate in it. Which is why I haven't played World vs. World for a while. I was in a really good World vs. World guild. They were really good people. That time ran its course, and I haven't played World vs. World much since then. Not because it's a bad game mode, not because I don't potentially enjoy it, but solo it stresses me out. In a group of good people, I very much enjoy it. And since I haven't had that for a minute, I haven't played that content for a minute. That's why I'll never touch structured PvP. It stresses me out. It's not the people who play it are bad people or whatever, but I'm not going to play content that stresses me out. So obviously this is, the other fractal right here, right?
We can handle them. Spread out.
Which one do I actually want to kill first?
We heal as one. Turret's running low.
So this is definitely one of those fights when I was talking kind of in like the little prologue I did about like, what season 1 was and is and all that business. This would be an excellent example of when they rolled out this return to season 1 in 2022. It was very much balanced for 2022 elite specs and so forth. Oh, I really messed that up. And I think it's very evident here. Like, this would have been, and don't get me wrong, like certainly there were a number of people who could have done it, but this would have been very difficult with like the core classes as they were at that point in time. Now I'm almost, in fairness, I'm almost like playing Soul Beast as a core class right now. Like I'm almost playing it like core Ranger because I've been playing Necromancer for so long now that I'm pretty rough at Soul Beast. But I'm also struggling. So again, like had this fight been this way at the introduction of Guild Wars 1, that would have been it would have been a different type of thing. Like I said, this was 5-man content at that time though, and probably played different than this as well. I assume it was balanced for 5 classes at that, 5 core class people at that time. Oh, of course I'm standing in fire when we come back. Boo.
Feel the fury. I choose you. Impressive combination. We heal as one. I feel good.
So that encounter in its original form, with the original season 1,
Relax.
actually had the potential to drop a backpack,
Explosives over there while
which
we're
was
away.
exceptionally rare, and as far as I know, remains relatively rare. Where basically the guy who was flying around, like, you actually get that backpack. You don't get to float around the way he did, but
I'll be over there by the door. Let's just say explosives and me. We don't get along.
you know, you can get the aesthetic of that little backpack. Okay, so I was running my mouth, and as a result, we couldn't hear Rox and Bram running theirs. Bottom line is we're kind of ready to pack it up and get out of here. However, we need to plant some explosives to blow this place up on our way out the door. So let's do that.
This door is locked.
Now, I genuinely don't remember if we can use this one explosive for all three, or if we're going to have to run back down and get an explosive each time. I am truly hoping that we do not need it. Whew, I didn't think I was going to make it. That we do not need to go. Yeah, it looks like we don't need to. Looks like we're going to be able to keep the same explosives. That's good.
I could outrun a centaur.
Alright, let's get out of here. We got the explosive set. No reason to stick around now. Just begging for trouble. Look at this. They really were ready for an invasion. Look, we got these things. So there is a story option in the core story where you actually get to, like, see these and try and, like, use one and stuff. It's like a directed energy weapon kind of thing. We did not take that route. I think that's a Priory storyline, if I remember right. I think so. All right, Bram. Let's get out of here, buddy.
Got it. Not a moment too soon.
Follow me.
Trust me. I don't want to be here when it blows.
Was there anyone who was doubting Rocks on that? On whether or not we should be here when it blows? Was there anyone thinking to themselves, hey, maybe we should... Oh, well, I guess we're going to find out, because we were polite, waited for everyone else, and now we're locked in with the blast. Rocks and Bram shut the door on us. Oh, now we're teleported through, and then we had a rock fall on us. A lot of stressful things happening right now. It's a lot for me. There we go. See, I said if it stressed me out, then it wasn't good content for me. And now look what's happening. Super stressed. Alright. So we got a few seconds to get out of here. It told us 30 seconds. I don't know. I mean, I don't see a timer anywhere. I don't know that we actually have. Oh, there it is. 10 seconds. What? What? 5 seconds? Oh my gosh. Was anyone timing to see if that's an actual, like, accurate? I'm pretty sure nothing happens if you just stay. After all, there's that node right there, right?
Feel good. Exhausted.
And hungry.
Yeah. Now that near Cragstead, you stop by.
If I come to Kragstad, it won't be to lounge around your heart. It'll be to grab you for mission support.
I'll keep my mate's hand.
You do that. I'll see you around.
If I see you first.
It's a really good joke, Bram. The "not if I see you first" thing. It's like, that's classic. Great job, Bram. All right, let's leave. Let's leave the facility. All right, and if I'm not mistaken, that is actually the entirety of Flame and Frost. All right. So we are now like a good chunk into, I want to say like the 1/6, 1/5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, not quite. Not quite. We still have a tiny bit left to go. Well, then let's check it out. We're so close to being done with Flame and Frost, we might as well see it through. Bram, what you got? Go to the Citadel, help with interrogations. Sure, we're not that far from the Citadel, right? Right here, so. Doesn't show where in the Citadel, though. Alright, we'll go right there. Oh, no, it's not telling us to go to the Citadel. I should have looked at my little thing. There it is. We gotta go see Newt first. Oh, man. Leading people astray. Spreading falsehood. It's fake news is what it is. It's fake news. Alright, to Newt Whitebear's loft, then. I wonder if I were, like, a leader. Like, oh, man, I love this chair. I seriously do. If I was not experiencing, like, a tiny little crisis right now where I feel like I need every bit of my money, I would buy this on like every single account. I may still buy it on my main account because it's just so good. All right. Yes. So if I were a world leader, what would I call like my office? Would I call it a loft? Newt Whitebear calls it a loft. I feel like I would have a lair.
You should know. They were almost all. By the time I got to Cragstead, a dozen of my friends.
I see. May the spirits guide them to peace.
If we'd stood together. No. It's every hunter for himself, right?
It's not that simple.
Yes, it is.
What are you going to do now?
You care? I'm gonna rebuild Cragstead with whoever's left of my friends.
The smart choice is to regroup and finish the fight later. Whatever you do, may the spirits keep you safe.
Ah, so Bram did not return the
He has
salute.
Bear's backbone and Raven's wit.
Yes, he got those from his father. I just wish he didn't also have Wolf's heart.
All right, so it's worth according to Newt, Bram has Bear's backbone, which Air says he got from his father. Air, because he certainly didn't get it from Air.
It's good to see you here.
I was worried for those homesteaders. Yeah, I mean, Bram fights well. He'll probably never forgive me. So it's true. Bram is her son. I was young and eager to prove myself. He's lived with his father all these years. So you kind of get the suggestion here that, and we really let her off the hook, don't we? Like, so she leaves him with Bori, who ultimately dies as well, and then Bram gets raised by like these two guys in the in Kragstead. But I guess Air just like kind of abandoned him. We really let her off the hook? Well, if you put in the time, Bram will figure it out. Figure it out? No, you abandoned him. That's not a thing that, like, kids figure out. They're not like, oh, I get it now. I was abandoned. Like, and Newt might be the stupidest. Like, what is that noise you're making, Newt? So Newt gave him, like, the thoughts and prayers, right? Like, Bram was like, oh, man, all these people in Cragstead died. And Newt was like, yes. May the spirits guide them. Yeah, now. All right. Hey, I'm here for you, Bram. We're boys. You want to make sure Atilia is okay. And let me know how that works out. Like, my thoughts and prayers are with Atilia. May the spirits guide her. All right, let's go see what Rox got going on. Now that we're done in the loft, which I mean, I really like the idea. Like, if I were a world leader, that I would have a loft. Like, I like it. I just don't know if a loft is right for me. I mean, lair is like really strong, right? To say you have a lair carries like a lot of connotation. I mean, presumably you don't have a cave unless you're a caveman. Office is not like compelling though, right? Like to say come into my office, like that's principals say that, middle management says that. Like I don't know that anyone has ever said come into my office and like I've been particularly impressed. Like is suite the pretentious way of saying office? Might be. All right.
Chose a new pet.
It chose me.
Well, it suits you. Train it well.
I will. I was wondering, Tribune, when
When will you know if you're qualified to join my warband? When I'm damn good and ready, Gladium. And not before.
Yes, Tribune. Sorry, Tribune.
Is it just me, or am I amazing?
Ah, read the letter. Logan. Logan is telling us good job. We did good things. I was instrumental in the success, and we all deserve the break. What remains unknown, why the Dredge and Flame Legion collaborated to begin with. So Logan's going to be looking into that. But that is, like, that is central, right? We've talked about that. All right. Rox, what do you got going on? Tribune Brimstone has me interrogating the prisoners. So what is happening here with Ritlock and Rox, right? Well, there's actually a number of questions. There's kind of a lot that goes into that. We don't really know what the nature of the relationship between Ritlock and Rox is. Like, we will learn later, and it's you know, we get like little tidbits over time that apparently the relationship goes back quite a ways to like when Rox was relatively young. It's unclear how young. And once we get past like this like really gruff kind of absurdity that Ritlock is right now, where it's kind of a little bit over the top in terms of his like, you know, old crusty Sergeant Major act. Then we learn that like kind of he almost starts being like a not affectionate, but like if you're in the military, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like the senior leader who's completely unapproachable and yet somehow is a little bit affectionate towards his subordinates. Like Ritlock kind of starts having that thing going on, but we don't have that yet. Right now, he's really like just kind of stringing her along while she tries to earn her way into his warband, and he's just not having it. And that's kind of a running thing for quite a while. It might be actually a little bit much, but just the same, that's what Rox is going through. So she's like almost getting gaslighted here, but she's really trying to find a way into Ritlock's warband, and I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what she does, but she hasn't figured that out yet, I guess. All right, are these prisoners talking? A little. Both blame the others for their defeat. Okay, well, that's it's like Russians and Syrians, right? And then she's gonna take a vacation, keeping the Devourer. All good. How's it going with getting into the warband? There will be more. There will be more tests for her to make it in. It's like a selection process. It'll be brutal. All right. Excuse me. Should we talk to some of these other dudes before we wrap it up? Hey, Dredge prisoner, what's up here? It was the Flame Legion. Yeah, well, this is very, very possible. What does Flame Legion have to say about it? So you know, I mean, what we have reflected here is like just like the way over, not over the top, but like, you know, when some people are so convinced of something that like just basic logic and like the ability to communicate or have an exchange at like the most, at the absolute lowest level is impossible. We got that here, right? That's the only interesting thing that he says. I doubt it will be here long after the dragons have swallowed you and yours. So for all like the nonsense that this guy spits out, like, is there anything intriguing there? I've talked a number of times in some of like my, you know, when I've been doing, you know, during the like the core playthrough, for example, or 0 to 0, about the idea that there is other magic in Tyria in the world of Guild Wars 2 that is not the ley line magic, Elder Dragon magic that the first 10 years of the game was like completely preoccupied with. And Flame Legion magic would be like a really good example of that, right? It is not draconic magic. I think there have kind of been times where the studio almost wanted to kind of portray it like that. But it existed, you know, in the first game, and it, you know, continues to exist. It's not like the Flame Legion are now like unable to do Flame Legion things, and it's you know, we get no indications that they're like aligned with Primordius. Like it is something different, and it's supposed to be like an ancient magic. And of course, the explorable paths of Ra make mention of like other magics. So, you know, there may be something to what that guy said. Might be. What about this dredge? We dredge will not be ignored. If only the Flame Legion weren't as thick as bedrock. Well, hey, buddy, like I don't know, man. And then we got Seneca the Relentless over here, who is a character from something, but I don't remember what. Is this? I think this is from the Char personal story, if I'm not mistaken. The Blood Citadel, where they'll be properly punished. That sounds intense, actually. What happened to all their weapons? Salvaging what we can. So after season 1, the weapons that came out during this particular story chapter, the fused weapon sets, that was the first time we saw something like that. I don't believe there were any Black Lion weapon sets prior to, or even any like exclusive weapon sets or whatever. I mean, there were a variety of weapon sets in the game, but I don't recall anything like, you know, fused weapons. I think were the first time that anything like that was introduced that I recall, and they were rare enough that they were exceptionally expensive, and for the longest time were exceptionally expensive. Now, I believe these days they've come down a bit. Yeah, they're very reasonable now, and that's because the ArenaNet has added a variety of ways to obtain like old Black Lion skins, which technically these were, or at least were for a while, and are right now. When they initially came out, though, I don't think they were Black Lion skins either. I think they were drops, but they were tradable. So yeah, super rare, super expensive, and now much easier to obtain. I have a Grey Wolf. No, I have a Grey Wolf. What's up? Spirits be praised. It's finished. It's hard to celebrate when you know what the refugees went through. Well, imagine how the refugees feel. The Consortium camp in South Sun Cove is calling to some people. So South Sun Cove, I don't believe the story is ever going to take us there. It also got introduced around this time, but for seemingly no apparent reason at all. It just kind of is there. South Sun Cove is the weirdest thing, in my opinion, that Guild Wars 2 has ever experienced. It's not that I dislike it, it's just kind of nonsense. Yes, Rocks, take some time to enjoy Whole Wreck. When I think of a place to, like, sit back and, like, feel good about something successful, I want to go to, like, a freezing, snowy place where people gather around giant. I don't know, some people like bonfires and cold. I don't know. So I don't know that we ever get this, right? Like, here's Rocks. I'm not ready to talk about that. Not yet. I got a weight on my shoulders, and sometimes it keeps me from opening up. It keeps me from living. But if I take it day by day, so I don't recall that ever... You know, I mean, Rocks is going to be aloof. The entire time that we know her, she's kind of aloof. But I don't know that specifically ever gets addressed. Grab an ale, and we'll save her. I actually still owe Newt an ale. So, or no, Ritlock. I owe Ritlock an ale. So if we get one... There's one around here. I need to find Ritlock. Indeed. All right. Warm yourself by the fire. Go team. All right, there we go. Flame and Frost complete. And we are not going to answer our email because we don't want to accidentally start the next stage of the story right now. So we have wrapped up Season 1. Now, I do like, with the reintroduction of Season 1, one of the things that they did that was pretty cool is with the completion of each one of those, like, stories, they give you a 20-slot bag, which is an improvement over the 18, 15, 15, 15 we got here. Whether or not I use it on this character, I don't know. I don't know that I care that much. But just the same, to have that added to your account, 5 20-slot bags is, like, awesome. And yes, I realize that, like, to some degree, it's, like, beneficial for the studio to, you know, to limit how much that, because people buy. Yeah, but I don't think people just. I don't think you buy inventory bags with, like, cash money, so they're not losing cash money off of it. So they might as well, right? Like, I'm really glad they did that. It's one of those things that doesn't cost the studio much. The advanced economics of whether or not it might cost them something. Oh, that's actually, like, a rare blade. I think I just landed on, like, 50 gold. Hey, that's great. Fantastic. I'm happy for me. But the idea that the studio is giving up, like, thousands of dollars, or like a massive source of revenue by giving away, like, 20-slot bags is just an absurdity. It's not a big deal for them to do that, so I'm glad that they do it. I think doing something like that every now and then is really smart for them. Like, there are a lot of games out there. I remember one thing about Black Desert Online that I found really... I don't even care about that. I found really intriguing was that every time that they had, like, a problem with maintenance, or that something didn't go well, or the game, like, you got disconnected, these different things that would keep players from enjoying the game, they would just give you stuff. Like, they'd give you stuff. ArenaNet almost never does that. Now, generally, their maintenance is very good. It has very minimal impact on the game. That's not a common problem for ArenaNet. But even, like, in Season 4, when they had to completely roll back the servers and everything because, like, a broken instance, not even transmutation charges. Like, just an apology. It's like, why? Like, what? You can buy transmutation charges, but I'm telling you, that's not where ArenaNet's making a whole bunch of their money. Kind of weird. Weird choices on their part. Like, I really think that they're a badly mismanaged studio. I think it's an extraordinary game. I think that as artists, they're fantastic. I think as business people, they just have no idea what they're doing. All right, so let's wrap it up here. We have completed Flame and Frost. We have met Rocks. We have met Bram. And we have discovered that the Flame Legion and the Dredge were collaborating. We've put an end to that collaboration, and we rescued the people who were impacted by it. We shut down that facility. But kind of the outstanding question, and the thing that, like, the studio wanted players to be asking themselves when they finish this part in Season 1 when it originally rolled out as, like, truly living world content, was why did that happen? What would cause the Flame Legion and Dredge to collaborate? So when we pick it up next time, it might be a few days, but when we jump back in, then we'll continue to move forward with season 1 and see if we can kind of get to the bottom of that. So, thank you for joining me, and have a good one.